What if the greatest calling of your life begins in the place where you feel the most forgotten? Moses wasn't looking for God. He wasn't praying for a miracle. He wasn't waiting for a divine assignment. He was simply doing his ordinary work in the wilderness. And then, everything changed. Moses was 80 years old. Once, he had been a prince of Egypt. But after his failure, he became a fugitive. He left everything behind and disappeared into the wilderness. The palace was gone. The power was gone. The dreams were gone. Now he was just a shepherd. To the world, Moses looked forgotten. But heaven had not forgotten him. Because sometimes, what looks like a wasted season is actually preparation for the greatest assignment of your life. One day, while Moses was tending the flock, he saw something strange. A bush was on fire, but it was not being consumed. It was an ordinary bush, small, fragile, easy to ignore. Yet God chose that ordinary bush as the place where he would reveal his presence. Moses stopped. He turned aside. He looked closer. And that simple decision changed everything. Because sometimes, the miracle begins when you stop rushing through your ordinary life long enough to notice what God is doing. Then God called him. Moses. Moses. God knew his name. He knew his past. He knew his failures. He knew his fears. And he called him anyway. Then God said, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." The ground wasn't holy because of the desert. It wasn't holy because of the bush. It was holy because God was there. And Moses could only respond, "Here I am." Then God revealed something even deeper. He told Moses that he had seen the suffering of Israel. He had heard their cries. He knew their pain. For generations, Israel had waited. It may have seemed like God was silent, but silence did not mean absence. God had not forgotten his people. He was preparing their deliverance. Then Moses asked the question we all ask when God calls us into something bigger than ourselves. Who am I? Who am I to do this? Who am I to lead? Who am I to speak? Who am I to be used by God? But God never told Moses that he was enough. God simply said, "I will be with you." That was the answer. Not Moses' strength. Not Moses' perfection. God's presence. Then Moses asked for God's name. And God answered, "I am who I am." The eternal God had stepped into the ordinary life of a forgotten shepherd. And centuries later, Jesus would say, "Before Abraham was, I am." The burning bush was pointing beyond itself. The Exodus was pointing toward a greater redemption. Moses would lead Israel out of slavery. But Christ would come to deliver humanity from the deeper slavery of sin and death. And it all began in the wilderness. So if you feel forgotten today, remember Moses. Your wilderness may not be the end of your story. Your hidden years may not be wasted. Your failures may not have the final word. God may be preparing you where nobody else can see. And when He calls, don't focus first on your weakness. Look at His presence, because God never promised, "You are enough." He promised something greater. "I will be with you." So when the moment comes, when God calls your name, will you be ready to answer? "Here I am."